It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Kevin Carr.
And this is It's
Movie Time.
But who are you?
My wardrobe consultant got it wrong. I said we were doing Black Panther and they got me the wrong outfit. So my apologies.
Yeah, but for those who are looking at our video, you have a certain black motif going on here.
That's right.
What about those glasses?
Those are the 3D glasses from last night.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't take them off.
Okay, so Black Panther, if you didn't get it, is our film today. Kevin, is it worth talking about?
It's absolutely worth talking about. I think it's an important film, not just in the Marvel universe, because I think it does stuff for that. But beyond that, it's one of the first black superheroes to actually get the huge treatment. Now, we've had stuff like, we had Blade 20 years ago.
That's right.
You had Hancock, and you had Spawn, and of course, Halle Berry had a Catwoman movie, which was terrible. Right. So it's not the first time they've headlined a black superhero.
Right.
But it's certainly the first one in this iteration of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that gets his or her own movie.
And I think it is a most entertaining movie. Mm-hmm. In that tradition, the formula tradition, and you can almost write the script about the hero and the ups and downs of his moving toward domination, whatever form it is. And in this case, it's Chadwick Boseman playing Black Panther. Yeah. Playing Black Panther, and it's he has to take the rule of his country, which is somewhere in Africa. Yeah,
a fictional Wakanda.
Yeah,
which is made up by Stan Lee back in the '60s.
Yeah, right. Somewhere there around Uganda and Lake Victoria and whatever else. Yeah,
sure.
But anyway, to me, what's so valuable here is that it turns everything around that we've ordinarily expected. Yeah. Third world countries, they're poor. We're going to exploit them because of their diamonds and their rubber and so on and so on.
Yeah. No. Oftentimes a natural resource is a curse to a third world country because you get some dictator in there that just takes it for themselves.
And this one upends it. Mm-hmm. Hey, this place is richer than any nation we know in technology. Yeah. And it has a mineral or some kind of a substance that powers it.
Yeah, it's the vibranium, which is
that's right.
It's the stuff that Captain America's shield's made of, and there's a huge amount of resource in Wakanda, and it allows them to have futuristic technology and everything like that. But what you're right, it does have your traditional hero's journey. It's not something we haven't seen before in terms of very basic beats, but it foregoes a big origin story because we got that in Captain America or in the Avengers movies. He was in Captain America: Civil War, and they teased it a little bit in Age of Ultron. So this character has been around in a couple of the films, so they don't need to go through an origin story. But he's new to this universe, and the other thing that works about it, and what I like about it, how it fits into Marvel, is sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy. This is not your typical story. It's not your billionaire making a suit that then fights crime. So it is a little bit out of the box. And I think that's great that Marvel is taking risks and saying, hey, let's do something different. Let's not just cookie cutter the original 4 movies that led up to the Avengers. Let's bring in other characters. And I think you get one heck of a story here that is, I think it's good for the Marvel. I think it's good for just American culture, black culture, world culture.
Oh, I think it's redolent of black culture, I think, and done so very nicely. And as you're intimating, it's kind of centers on this country. Yeah. Rather than exploding itself all over the world, right now they have to settle their matters because they have wealth that they want to be isolated from the world. Not unlike the U.S. in World War II before the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, we were staying away for a variety of reasons, and they're staying away. So there's some world relevance to this that I love, some contemporary relevance.
Well, there's three things that I noticed about this. The first of all is, with the exception of like 2 very, 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 very short scenes, the entirety of the movie takes place outside of the United States. Most of it taking place within Wakanda
Yes.
borders itself.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not about American culture. And although they give service to that.
Sure. You have one character.
Yeah, it's bigger than that. Also, the other thing I think this is good, is it's mostly an entirely black cast in terms of the main characters. You have the good guy's a black guy, the bad guy's a black guy. Yeah. They're not just making the bad guy some imperial colonialist coming in.
And to turn that screw a little bit tighter,
Yeah.
it's family.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a story, but it doesn't fall into that kind of a cliche. And then third, one of the things it doesn't do, when you tend to have a lot of times when you tend to have black cinema. It falls into the traps of its own cliches, and you run into offensive language, you run into offensive characters, and their places in society. It just shoves all that aside, which is kind of part of not taking place in America or Britain or somewhere that we're very familiar with, and it just kind of gives its own movie, which I think is fantastic, because not every single movie that deals with black culture has to be about drug dealers
You bet.
or that sort of thing.
And Kevin, if you think about the last year with in a sense to our consciousness, the introduction of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And then I take a look at the wonderful women in this film.
Oh yeah, you thought that Scarlett Johansson kicked butt in the end.
Oh,
I'm like, put her up against these ladies.
I mean, they're a retinue of them with spears
Mhm.
that do stuff with spears you've never seen before.
Oh yeah.
And they are tough ladies, reminding me so much of Wonder Woman's coterie of people on their island.
Yeah.
That is, these are women of substance, and beyond their being physically imposing and acrobatic, they're also smart as heck.
Yeah. Well, and can I tell you, I think it's great that we are finally getting a movie with Lupita Nyong'o without having her a CGI character like in Star Wars or The Jungle Book.
Right.
I think she's a great actor. I think she needs more work. She's beautiful. She's talented, and she's a formidable character in this. And it's great to see her on screen actually having something to do.
She plays Panther's ex.
Yeah.
And she is not about ready to go back with this dude.
Correct.
Till things are just about right. And I love that. She's very cool. She's very aloof. His sister is the Q of the film.
Yeah.
She's supplying all the technology.
Yeah, she's the quartermaster.
I know, right? So I mean, Joseph Campbell would love all this stuff when you see the king is a male. It's still the force is still with the males. His opponent's a male. Mm-hmm. We have to. Somehow there's a formula there that
let's not get ahead of ourselves, right?
I know.
We can't do too much.
Right, we can't do too much. So it comes down to I'm always uncomfortable with this formula because, Kevin, there's so much fisticuffs.
Yeah.
And I know that's Stan Lee and everybody else. That's the way they
you gotta have the action. You gotta have the action.
Oh, but geez, they've got all this technology all over the place, and they fight with swords.
They're more than just swords.
Oh.
It's sort of like, I look at it like there's a little bit of Star Wars. There's even a point in there where one of the women with the generals, and somebody shoots a gun, and she's like, "Oh, guns are so either primitive or barbaric," is what she says, which is a line almost directly out of Star Wars. And I think that's because the spears have vibranium in them, and they do a lot more than just stab things.
Well, the audience last night was enthusiastic about it.
Mm-hmm.
This buzz has been good.
Oh yeah, very good.
And Marvel's putting this hero right up with Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, and others I haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
But a formidable retinue of heroes, and I think this Black Panther gets up there with them. And I think he's cool. Now, Boseman, who plays him, is sometimes a little bit too cool for me.
Yeah.
I mean, he lacks passion that his sister has, but I accept it because he's smart.
But can we talk about Michael B. Jordan as the bad guy? He's fantastic.
He is very good.
And I think it's great to see him playing a bad guy because he's in Fruitvale Station, which was also a Ryan Coogler movie, and Creed, if I'm not mistaken, was also Ryan Coogler.
Yes,
he's always the hero, the troubled hero, but he's always the good guy. He plays a formidable bad guy too. I think I like that when an actor takes that step, and isn't just always the hero.
Yeah, right, and has a haircut like that.
Well, yeah, I couldn't pull that off. That's why I'm wearing this.
Kevin Carr.
Yes.
The movie is Black Panther. What grade would you award it?
I'm going to give it an A.
Oh, wonderful. And I'm going to give it a B plus, and I'll tell you why. I still can't stand those fisticuffs.